It's the Big E Sports Extravaganza.
It's a tradition.
Your weekly destination for all things going on in the sports universe. We don't just talk X's and O's. We go beyond them. Bringing you some of the most engaging guests from around the nation. Fasten your seatbelts. It's showtime. Now, here's your hostess with the mostest, Elissa Walker Campbell.
Hey, we're so glad you're with us on the Big E Sports Show. I'm Elissa Walker Campbell, and what an incredible baseball season it has been. The Los Angeles Dodgers captured another World Series title in thrilling fashion, an 11-inning Game 7 for ages. Joining us now is Tim Neverett in his 5th season as part of the Dodgers broadcast team. Tim's been behind the mic for some unforgettable moments, and today we are going to take time to relive a few of them. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you very much. Happy to be with you.
It's good to have you with us, and you certainly have been around this game a long time. I'm just wondering, when it's all said and done, will that 11-inning Game 7 be number one for you?
You know, I got to say, it probably might be because, you know, I think the Dodgers lost that game 5 times before they won it, and it was just back and forth. You know, Toronto had every opportunity. It just didn't go their way. They played great. You know, just looking back at other World Series too, and I think of 1975. I can go back that far actually. Between Boston and the Reds, that was a really, really good one. And you know, another one with Boston in '86 with the Mets was crazy. But I think this one for me takes the cake in 2025. Just because of, you know, a number of things. I think, you know, the Game 3 situation going 18 innings, you know, and I remember in 2018 when the Dodgers played the Red Sox in the World Series, it was also an 18-inning game that was won by the Dodgers on a walk-off home run by Max Muncy. But in 2025, you know, Freddie Freeman ended it, hitting it over the center field fence. An incredible game, an incredible baseball game, incredible pitched game by both clubs. And then, you know, they ground their way to Game 7, and then they had to play extra innings. I mean, the season got extended even further. But to see the way the game was played, to see the chances that both teams had, the defensive plays, the key hits, the pitching that was involved, it was, I think, to me, Game 7 in 2025 will be number one.
Well, as a result, the Dodgers become the first team in 25 years to repeat as champions. So just what does that mean for the organization's legacy? I mean, this truly is the golden era of Dodgers baseball.
I can't agree with that more. I mean, just look at what they've done. Just look at what they've done since Dave Roberts has been the manager.
Right.
You know, they've been to the World Series, 5 times now, and they've won 3 of them. I mean, that's incredible to win 5 pennants in 10 years. So, yeah, I would say this is the golden age. People love to look back and they like to say, oh, you know, the late 1970s were great. And they were, into the 80s. And they finally won one in 81 and then won again in 88. But then from 88 to 2020, they didn't have one. So, you can go back to Brooklyn. There wasn't much in Brooklyn. In 55, they won. And then they won when they came out to L.A. But this right now is the golden era of Dodger baseball. I don't think there's any question about it.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned Dave Roberts because he has been one of the most successful managers in baseball. So let's talk about his leadership, his philosophy. I mean, how would you describe his style and what makes him so effective year in and year out?
Well, here's the thing about Dave that people don't get, and they see the games, and it doesn't matter if it's Dave Roberts or Joe Smith, right? Whoever's managing a team, you bring in a reliever and he gives up a run and you lose a game. Oh, they want everybody wants to hang the manager, right? Well, the player has to execute. You know, the manager does have to put players in positions to be successful. But what Dave does is he builds really solid relationships with all the players from the ground up, and it's not just the guys on the active roster. It's the guys on the 40-man roster. It's with minor leaguers. I mean, I've seen him in the afternoon sitting with, a guy in low A that came over to hit in a simulated game. And he was sitting on the grass with them, just getting to know him. I mean, he starts these relationships from the ground up. And the one thing I think that's paid off for him the most is when you have players, like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, guys who are going to the Hall of Fame, who, after playing for a guy for a long time, still sing his praises. Typically in professional sports, if somebody's a coach for a long period of time and you've got the same players there, they kind of tune him out after a while, but that's not the case with Dave. He keeps it fresh. He keeps it fun. He keeps it interesting. And, they win, and he's very fair. And all the other things that he does too. I mean, the way that he handles the media, he's exceptional dealing with the media. He's got to deal with more than anybody else in baseball because, he's got to have press conferences basically for two different countries every day, the U.S. and Japan. And the way that he handles things in terms of the business of baseball that people never see, the way that he talks to sponsors and, corporate sponsors and season ticket holders and, all the things that encompass the business of baseball, he gets it all. The organization knows that, and that's why they rewarded him with a new contract last year. And, what does he do in the first year of his new deal? He just wins the World Series.
Well, you share some of your observations about how Roberts communicates with players and the media. Talk about his calm demeanor that helped the team in those high-pressure moments, especially in Game 7.
Yeah, I think because he's been there, his experience level is just far greater than most, if any other current manager, in terms of big games, pennant-winning games, World Series games. I don't think that – I think maybe a young manager, who doesn't have as much experience would lean on a lot of different people to help. I mean, Dave does that. It's an organizational situation in terms of, decision-making and things like that. But I think that when he has to make a decision as the manager during a game, he's not flustered by it anymore. The moment is not too big for him because he's been there. And not a lot of guys have as often as he has. And not a lot of guys have been under the big bright lights the way that he has and have had the criticisms in a major market the way that he has, but he handles it very, very well. I've had many conversations with Dave about this over the years and he's in a great place, and the Dodgers are in a great place having him run the show.
You were listening to the voice of Tim Neverett, the voice of the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's talk about the leadership and the team cohesion, because this is a team that has multiple leaders and all stepping up at different moments. Just how remarkable was that to see them working cohesively with zero ego and deliver on the biggest stage?
That's the fun part about this team is that you have guys who could easily be ego guys, right? But they're not. They all want to win. And that's the one thing the Dodgers find the common thread in all these players' DNA is that they want to win. Starting with Mookie Betts, I mean, he is one of the faces of baseball. He's a star. He's a bona fide superstar. He could be an ego guy, right? He's playing in one of the two largest markets in the game. He's got opportunities he never would have had he stayed in Boston. No disrespect to Boston. It is a great market, and it was a great situation for Mookie and myself too when I was there with Mookie years ago. But I think that he easily could have gone the other way, but he hasn't. And internally, he remains very humble. He did not have the kind of season offensively he thought he'd have. However, he went out there and became one of the best shortstops in baseball in a short period of time, which didn't surprise me at all after being around him as long as I have. But the fact of the matter is he wants to win games, wants to do whatever it takes to win a ball game that day. And the way that he goes about it, it's been infectious. Freddie Freeman has the same string of DNA in him. All he wants to do is win. Shohei Ohtani, this guy he's off the charts. This guy is a Boy Scout. You're around him. He's the most polite, respectful player I think I've ever been around. He respects the game. He respects everybody in the game. And when you're around him on a daily basis, it's just like, man, people don't normally behave like this, but this is actually him. And I mean, the best conversations I have with him are not about baseball. But I talked to him about his dog because I'm a dog guy. I've got a great dog, and,
sure,
and he's got a great dog. And whenever I bring up his dog, he smiles from ear to ear, and he tells me the new tricks he's teaching him and things like that. But it's like, he's like one of the most polite, respectful people. And then he gets on the baseball field, and he's the best that anybody's ever seen.
Yeah, he flips the switch. Hey, we highlight and talk about Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. We cannot overlook Clayton Kershaw. So how would you put into words what Kershaw has meant to the Dodgers and just to the game of baseball?
Well, Kershaw's meant everything to the Dodgers. I think he's the next statue guy, right? I mean, he's going to have a statue at Dodger Stadium at some point in time after he goes in the Hall of Fame, and he should be a first ballot Hall of Fame guy. You just look at his numbers, look at his accomplishments. This year, it was against the Chicago White Sox when he struck out his 3,000th man. It was the last batter of the game, and it was a remarkable moment. And it was my honor to call it, just to see one of those great baseball moments. I mean, I've seen guys strike out 2,000 in a career, and they think that's the end. But 3,000 is something that is out of reach for most pitchers, especially nowadays. And to see the way he carries himself, to see the things that he does, and also, you can look at all the numbers. You look at the Cy Youngs, the MVPs, all the ERA titles, all this stuff, right? And where he figures on the all-time lists, which is very high. But one of the things about Kershaw that a lot of baseball fans don't know is what he and his family do in the off season when no one's looking and when no one knows about it. I mean, he'll go down to the Dominican Republic and help build houses for people. He'll go to other countries where people are less fortunate, and he gives back. And he's got a foundation that helps with this stuff. And this is a labor of love for he and his family that he's been doing very quietly for a lot of years now. He's just a special person, and I think baseball's been lucky to have him. The Dodgers have been super lucky to have him, and he's a guy that will go down in Dodger history as one of the all-time great players, not just a pitcher, but one of the all-time great Dodger players.
Well, this particular championship certainly is the perfect closing chapter for his career. Just quickly, what separated him from other great pitchers that you have covered?
Well, I think, again, a long time ago, the Dodgers found that guy who had the DNA, who just wanted to win and do what it took to win. But they saw a guy in high school in Texas who was advanced, drafted him. Other teams passed on him, believe it or not. Wow. I can't. You look at that draft year and you see the teams that passed on him, you got to be, what were they thinking? But he fell right to the Dodgers, and then he just took off. Once he started pitching professionally, learning. One of the first guys the Dodgers introduced him to was another lefty that we've all heard of, Sandy Koufax. Yeah. And they said, we want you to learn from Sandy. And Sandy, we want you to teach this kid because we think he's the next you. And certainly he was. And quite honestly, in terms of numbers, he was Sandy Koufax and then some. And Sandy still comes to the games now. Sandy was still around during, the playoffs and World Series, and he and Kershaw are very close. Just what he was able to do when he made his debut. I mean, it's funny. The first man he struck out, his first strikeout as a major league pitcher, is a guy who just got a job as a major league manager again, and that's Skip Schumacher, who's now going to manage the Rangers.
Wow.
Former Marlins manager, Cardinals player. Skip was with the Cardinals. That was the first strikeout victim that Kershaw had, and they're both Texans, and Skip even says that he keeps in touch with Kershaw largely because of that. That's how they kind of became friends, because they had that in common. I think once Skip realized how great Kershaw was becoming and was going to be, he knew he would be a trivia question answer for his whole life after that.
Hey, we are winding down our time with the voice of the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. That is Tim Neverett. And you truly have had such a remarkable career, play-by-play announcer for many years now. What has this journey been like for you, and what keeps the job so rewarding after all of these years?
Well, it's just fun. I think, the people around the game, it sounds cliche, but it's true. The people around the game keep you going, keep you interested in it. I work with one of the best of all time, I think, as far as a radio broadcaster is concerned. That's Rick Monday. who just had his 80th birthday yesterday,
wow. Okay.
is still sharp as a tack. He's the most prepared analyst I've ever worked with. And he's getting ready for another season. And our next game together is February 21st against the Angels in Arizona in spring training. But you meet people like that. You become close to people like that. It's wonderful. I mean, Rick was the first ever draft choice in the first ever, professional draft. He was the guy that saved the American flag in 1976 at Dodger Stadium while with the Cubs. And this year's the 50th anniversary of it. So I know the Dodgers are planning a big celebration for Rick. It's just things around the game and the memories that you have. Like, I look back on a lot of different things, like my time with the Pirates and watching them go from the basement to the postseason and taking that postseason ride with them for 3 seasons and seeing some of the great moments that they had in franchise history, meeting a lot of the greats like Bill Mazeroski and, of course, my partner Steve Blass, and getting to work with, Bob Walk, John Wayne, guys who are really solid Pirate guys, and then going to Boston and winning a World Series there with them and meeting so many stars and getting to work a couple of games with Roger Clemens, meeting Hall of Famers and having them know your name and being around them. It's just kind of a fun deal. But I've had so many great memories in the game, including calling Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 game, which still stands out to me as one of the top moments that I've ever had, is watching what he did in Miami that afternoon, just absolutely making a mockery of the major leagues on how good he was that day. I've never seen a player have a game like that. We may not ever see a player have a game like that again.
Hey, what a season, what a team, and what a thrill to relive all of these moments with the great Tim Neverett, the voice of the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. We look forward to another conversation in the spring, continued success, and thank you so much for carving out time. We appreciate it, Tim.
Well, thank you for thinking of me, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.